Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. This is the WiX Online Meeting 301, closing in on the end of 2025, November 19th. We got stuff to talk about. This meeting is recorded for those of you that aren't with us right here, right now. You know that because you're watching it. Everybody else, you're being recorded. Go ahead and say hi if you're here. Do a roll call. We have our usual suspects, which is great. Uh, they'll help us because we have a little bit to discuss in triage, at least on one issue. I'm looking for input and thoughts and opinions and things like that. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do triage, little couple whip type things to talk about. So they'll take a minute, and then we'll do questions, comments, and things that other people want to talk about. Bob, you ready to go do triage?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Boom. All right. Uh, Someone left a comment on an issue from 2012, and so I marked it for triage so we can review the idea of this. Um, the request is to add an extract switch to burn. So instead of using wix.exe, to use burn itself to extract all of the binaries out of it. Um, we've never done this. Um, but someone has said they're kind of interested in, you know, well, they're basically interested in implementing the feature. So I thought we should bring up a triage and then be like, well, do we want this feature? It's ancient. We've lived without it for so long. Uh, should bundles have the ability to dump all their contents out without requiring you to go get another tool, even though getting that tool is a lot easier than it ever was before? Hmm. So anyway, I'm taking opinions. I'm looking for thoughts, particularly from like chat, and see if anybody has any strong opinions. And Bob, of course, I'll turn over to you. Give chat a chance to think about it. Should we do this, or um, should we just say, yeah, we're not really interested in this feature inside Burn. Let's keep it inside Wix.exe.
Well, we have layout. So
Yes,
the
layout.
idea that extraction is uh, foreign or completely out of left field doesn't really mesh.
Well, we
I
didn't.
understand the differences, to
Right.
be
We
clear.
didn't implement extract because the idea being that if you combined everything and put it all together, then extract was essentially a way of taking it apart, and that should not be a normal scenario. That should be um, that's a dev tool type scenario, not a user type scenario of taking a bundle apart. Where
Right.
layout brings a bundle together, so it will not need to go back to the internet again, which is
Sure.
absolutely necessary for a gap.
Now, that said, there are plenty of, unfortunately, IT admin scenarios that want the ability to extract packages from a bundle. So the question, I think the bigger question here, and I don't remember if this person um, pointed it out. It has been pointed out elsewhere that the this used to be something you could actually do in Wix 3 because Unbinder knew how to unbind bundles. So even if the engine didn't support it, a BA could using Wix. That's a lot harder now because the classes that would do this are internal
Right.
now, not public.
I Okay.
So I would argue it should be possible to do this. I do not. I have very weak support for it in the engine because I agree it's not a common scenario. Um, but should a BA be able to do that? Yeah, I'd argue that's interesting. Um, so interestingly, you could actually do this using Wix.dll from Wix 3. Um, even with like a .NET 10 based BA, you could use Wix.dll to extract, unbind the bundle. Um, I don't know. I guess I would lean more toward this should be something we support in WiX, in one of the WiX assemblies, rather than in the engine.
I see. So have the way to do it, but don't put it inside the engine. So a BA would have to write it themselves. So my concern about adding to the engine is that it ends up being another action like layout and help and
Right,
all those other things
correct,
that you have that every BA now has to support, even if they don't want to. Or
correct.
so it ends up being, part of burn the engine.
Yeah. The other side to that, although I don't think that really applies, it would apply in this case, is I don't want to add rare stuff to the engine
Yeah.
that might bloat it. I
Yeah.
don't think that would apply here. There would be the overhead from it being in action, but it would, you know, burn already has to be able to extract stuff from itself. So, I don't think it would really add much to the engine to support that
I
other than the overhead of the action.
Well, if you want it to be in action, I think you'd be surprised that it's going to end up being like it does have to go through plan,
Yeah.
because layout goes through plan and the whole all that. It's like
Sorry, I'm talking about we wouldn't have to add extraction code, right? We'd have to add the infrastructure, but to support the action, but not the actual code to extract because burn already has that.
well, oh, okay,
So
true.
it's uh, this is something I've been concerned about. Remember way back when there was okay, how can we keep burn to a svelte 500K?
Yes.
And that has come and gone. So I'm I hate to be complacent and say, it might add 5K to the engine, but it would add 5K to the engine, not 200K.
Sure.
This was something I was looking at with LZMA. It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
we do this,
Yeah.
everyone's going to pay this price. So.
Right, because we're not depending on cabinet DLL that's built into the
Right.
operating system anymore. We'll be dependent on carrying our own compression engine.
Right.
I hear you. I'm in this case. I'm actually less worried about the size because I agree it shouldn't add a lot. I'm more worried about the complexity it adds to all of the calculations as yet another path through the
Sure. And
engine,
it's
and it's not something
layout.
that everybody like. It's not something I
Yeah.
should say. Every bundle should support extract. I would
Right.
never say that. I would definitely say
Agreed.
every bundle should support layout because if you don't think about air gap, your customers eventually might, and so it's a good thing to have. Similar with help, you should implement help in your BA. I think
That
that's a
works.
good thing, but I don't think every bundle should have to implement extract.
Um.
A bundle
Yeah.
saying I
So
do not want all of that stuff, then you'd be like, right, that makes sense. So putting it in the burn engine as a standard sort of switch turns
yeah.
into um, another space of like, hey, you should implement this, even though I don't know that we should make that strong statement for it. So your point
Yeah.
to, hey, let's provide, let's allow people to have the extraction code easier. Maybe that's a better way to go about doing it.
Yeah, help and layout are actions in the engine that are really, really weird from a BA's perspective.
They are. I agree, but they're also like you really should handle them.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm just saying it's well, so layout is something a lot of BAs don't need because they're fully self-contained. So it's like, yeah, you should support them, but if you don't, you have to worry about air gap. That's fine, and that's something your BA can opt into at a later time if it becomes necessary. Um, which is also true of extract if it were part of the engine. But I completely agree. It's not important enough to be in the engine. But like I said, just because I I know of a business that added extraction to their BA, and they were able to do it with Wix.dll, and today I could not do it with whatever the appropriate Windows or burn assembly would be.
Right. Just because it all got pulled internal.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we never intended for people to do that. They just like, hey, look, we'll just yank this and use it.
Right.
So you'd have to re-implement it yourself today to do
Yeah,
it.
which, you can do,
Yeah.
all the classes are there.
Mm-hmm. All the code's
It'd
there.
just be,
You can see it all.
yeah, because all the code is there, right? Yeah, exactly. But if we, and I'm also fine with the model we took in WiX for to make everything, to make public only the things we intended to support, um, with the idea that we could do more later. I think this is an example of something, yeah, we should probably, elevate this.
All right. So I don't think we should add this to the engine itself.
Agreed.
Then the question turns into making it available through, BUtil or is that what it's called? Whatever the burn utilities, or something else. Um the anyway, one of the layers. There's a bunch of
Yeah,
burn has several, right? It has the
right,
extensions. It
right, right.
has the it has options, and it
Yeah.
could live in its own if we needed to. Um,
Well, and we also want to support both native and managed BAs.
okay,
So we're talking butyl and, again, one of the assemblies. And it doesn't have to. It also. So that is kind of interesting, right? Um, it's something we're talking about for BAs, but it could be part of, like, Wix.exe. It could be part of some other tool. It doesn't have to be a BA.
true.
So I guess I would lean more toward, yeah. And we can talk about the right layer, where it goes, what it should expose. Again, right now people are using Wix.dll to get to the unbinder, which handles everything. So,
Yeah, and Wix DLL is like big monster to grab a hold of, and
eh,
Wix three.
well,
um, so
has everything.
yeah, exactly. It was the kitchen sink.
Mm-hmm.
Not really excited about maintaining any of the all of that though, um, as separate pieces. So it'll be interesting. There's a design there to get it so it
Yeah,
doesn't require lots of extra maintenance overhead.
agreed, agreed.
Um, all right, so I guess that's probably where this is at. Um, this still is marked. This needs to be marked as whip required, probably to
Oh,
finish laying
absolutely.
out all those pieces, and then if this person wants to try to take a swing at it, they can take a swing at it in that direction. Um, to kind of work around and see if they can design a layer that fits in with all the existing code and all that kind of good stuff to get it to a place that
Yep.
maybe this could be exposed to a BA that wants to be able to do that.
Yeah,
So they want to
agreed.
support it inside the engine itself. All right, cool. Whole lot of typing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I, it's not gonna fit. So let's update it and then leave it triage, I think, with the new information and see if they come back.
Okay.
And we could take it out of 4x because clearly not going to happen in 4x. Um, we could take it out of the milestone and leave it for triage, and then in a month we'll talk about. We'll revisit, see if they come back and be like, "Oh, all right, I will go down that route." Then we could give it to them, and they're probably going to, and then we'll see how quickly they get to it if they can get it done inside Wix v7 or not.
That works for me.
Okay, we all right. 8633 is another item brought back from ancient history. Oh, no, Wix 5 is not that old. And Bob has, oh, you've already put it in Wix 7.
Yes, which is why I want to talk about that.
Okay. So this is, when you install the per user locations, you will get lots of ICE errors because installing files to per user locations is tricky. Here I am trying to scroll down to the bottom. Um,
Yeah, this is all about being ice clean. Oh, that's what the title says. And there are a
yes.
bunch
I see. So this
of
person, you pointed this person towards per user per machine,
yeah.
and they found out that that does work.
Yep.
Um, and there we go. All
So
right.
this was something I took for V7, but especially after starting my work in Burn to support dual mode packages, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. So at the very least, I brought it back so that we could say, no, Bob, you don't have to do this, which is part of the whole, you know, having free will thing. But also just to declare, yeah, the per user packages, are an evolutionary dead end. Let's embrace the per user or per machine or the per machine or per user
Sorry, I keep scrolling.
paradigm,
Yep.
and just say, yeah, that's the approach. This isn't something I think we should do.
No, I
Right?
agree. I
In
don't.
the end of the day, we should not be doing this.
Yep. No,
The
files
ice
should be straightforward and all that. The ICEs should be dealt with elsewhere.
by not doing per user packages.
Yep. Yep. Per
Cool.
user
Okay.
packages, I think, yeah, don't work very well.
Yeah. So I'm fine closing this. At the very least, I'm going to
I see.
take it out of the milestone and unassign myself.
Yes, I think yes. Now the trick with this per user or machine is the fact that they don't work well inside burn. So that's where we end up leaning more and more on that other issue you have about trying to make that work better in burn.
Yeah, true.
So
And you know, it's late November and I still don't have it working, so
yes.
that is an issue. But it's not like I was going to get this done either. I mean, I lost a couple of months due to health reasons, so
Yep.
this was never going to happen in V7. Um, so, yeah, again, I don't want to do this.
No. This I think is a dead end, and I never knew how this was ever going to work out. And this always felt to me like a fool's errand. There was no good
Well,
solution to this.
there are options. To be clear, the options are to shut up the ices, not necessarily to, you know,
Make better packages.
well, I'd argue shutting up the ices does not make for better packages.
Exactly. That's my my problem.
Let's add a few thousand registers. No.
No.
That's just silly.
No. No.
Now I'm also okay with leaving this open and just saying this is where we're headed. If you want to head somewhere else, this is still a thing.
No.
But
The only reason to leave this open is if we should dock it. AK, turn it into a dock issue. That's the only reason to leave it open. Otherwise, agreed. It's gone.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the doc. I mean, I guess we could add it to the files element.
I don't know where we would put it. There's that whole bigger question of, but there's a whole, I've been looking at the bringing the Wix 3 how to author files content into the Wix 4 timeline, and just kind of trying to get that. This could live in that sort of space, or something maybe.
Well,
or is there a whole per user per machine section that talks about per user packages that leads you down the route to bundles? I don't know. It's kind of it's a big topic,
I
and
can
it
answer
all
that question.
It all ends
But
up.
this issue is specifically about files. I'm fine saying the files element does not work acceptably for per user packages. Use per user or per machine or per user instead.
Sure.
It's worth it in the files element.
Okay.
It's an unpleasant violation of the principle of least surprise.
Yeah. Well, at some point we may get to a place where we just deprecate per user.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's embrace dual mode packages, and what's left with per user, forget it.
Right, but we have to fix
I mean,
things
to an extent, at a certain point.
Right, to embrace them, we have to fix things, though. So,
well, I would argue we can embrace early because, again, it's not like this was.
embrace with caveats.
Well, it's not like this was going to get done at the same time as per user per machine. It's just, this is a problem. Meh. It's not. It's there is no great fix for this issue.
No, this issue, the answer is per user or machine, per machine or
Yeah,
user, whatever. That is the answer to this one.
but and I agree. Right now, that's not great for burn. With
Right.
burn.
And it doesn't work with burn, and we have to decide what we're gonna do about the UIs that trip over it when they
Yep.
do or whatever. Like there's just it's like, yeah, we're going to, but before we deprecate per user, we probably should have a
Oh,
clear
I'm
statement
not
on
sorry.
these
I'm
items.
not suggesting that we deprecate per user. I'm just
Well,
saying.
I am in time, just not right now.
Okay, okay. I'm just saying for this class of problem,
Hmm.
we're it, per user is problematic, and we're not going to. There's no magic solution that we're going to come up with. So
Right. Right.
okay, I will change this into a doc issue
Sure.
and add a sentence.
That
That's
sounds
really all it's
reasonable.
going to be.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool.
All right. Desire to have VS 2026 custom action support inside the Visual Studio 2026 stuff. Chris said he wanted to do it, so gave it to him. There's a pull request, and it's kind of getting there. Um, but I assume we would take this, right? Because we'll just do all the stuff for 2026 like it did for 2022, right?
I guess I'm
Yeah.
still not clear on the on on the need for it
Well, it allows you to
anymore.
detect 2026, so you can say, "Hey, I want 2026."
Sorry. The detect is one thing. It's the custom actions that I'm
Yeah.
uncertain about.
Like, at some point, we get rid of them because they don't work. I don't know, or I don't know. But the change is to basically just bring over 2026, 2022 functionality and bring it to 2026. So, but it seems reasonable, I think, right? To get with 7.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. WiX CLI x64 size not being signed. So yeah, I have this fixed locally. Um, it hasn't been signed since the very beginning.
Oops.
All of our other bundles are and such like that, everything else, but this got added late, and I guess never double checked to see that it was actually signed. And someone who had left a comment on it that, hey, this thing's not signed. That's really bad. And I'm like, oh, that is not good. So we'll fix it with 7. All right. So,
That works.
yep, I have that fixed. And then the thing that I really wanted to talk about. All right. I wrote the whip for the accept EULA concept that we discussed last meeting. Um, that has come up. This is, and in that time, I've had like 3 more people kind of say, "Hey, how was I like if I wasn't reading the documentation and all that, how would I know that this had happened?" Which is the feedback that, yeah, you need to know that there's a EULA. So there is more data that this is a good thing. There's also more data that the .NET team is not going to do anything about it because they duped both of the issues I opened after we released, and I was surprised that it didn't work in .NET Tool install. They duped those to one very ancient issue in NuGet. It turns
The one
out.
where they're explicitly saying, nah.
No, yeah, so there was arguments in the .NET side, maybe we shouldn't do this, but then they found one in NuGet that said, hey, we should support this properly, and that issue has been open for years. So NuGet's not getting around to it anytime. And apparently it's not the .NET team, it's the NuGet team that exposes their stuff through .NET. Anyway, I don't really care the org chart underneath. The fundamental truth is they're not going to fix it. It doesn't look like they're going to fix it. So we need to do something. And that something is, hey, we'll just add a command line switch to Wix.exe to say, hey, accept the EULA. So I've written down mostly what we talked about last month with an addition, and then we need to close on a couple of things. And that's why I want to discuss here with chat and everybody about this. So the big addition that I did was I realized the EULA could change from version to version. So we should probably have them say, hey, I accept this version and not just I accept the EULA, because it is easy in the .NET tool to just like get the latest version. And if the EULA changed on you between those, we should handle that. Visual Studio does this somehow. I'm not exactly sure how they do it, but I think they show the EULA again when you upgrade your package. Maybe it's just whenever you upgrade your package, they show the EULA again. Anyway, the idea being that, hey, if you're on WiX 7, you say, I accept the EULA for WiX 7. And if you then move to WiX 8, you say, I accept the EULA for WiX 8. And if you were to use .NET Tool and magically shift from WiX 7 to WiX 8, then you'd get the message saying, hey, you need to accept the EULA for WiX 8 because you're now running on the new version, and that EULA might be different. I don't want to try to build in the logic between 8 and 7 and all that, which ones are newer. And it's just like, we'll just say, hey, just say the version that you're accepting EULA. It's kind of like going through the install. It would be much easier if we just did the install, right? In the install, I accept the EULA, go. That's not what we're getting. So that was my thinking with the adding the, you know, the number, the version to the accept EULA switch. Just say, hey, I accept the EULA for WiX 7. Um, and then that gives us inside the property inside MS Build the ability to say, hey, accept EULA, and then you put WiX 7 in there. And then this last part is less about Wix, but more as we look at other projects starting to pick up the open source maintenance fee. They could then, if we have a single property, they could just semicolon delimit themselves, and there you go. You could just have accept EULA, and it'll do all the checks for you, nice and easy inside MS Build. And we can check that property in a MS Build target, so we can get even better if we want, or not command line focused error messages, but like MS Build focused error messages. Sometimes there's value in the presentation of what an MS Build error message can give you, as opposed to routing an XE based error message up and out. So we can get a nice experience on both sides without a whole lot of work. As part of the deployment dojo, I've been doing a whole season 2 about MS Build, and I've been through that, reminding myself of various features of MS Build, and I realized, hey, this would actually be pretty easy to implement. So anyway, aside. So the questions I have are around the idea of this, accepting the major version um, is one thing. And then should we call it accept EULA as a switch? Or should we call it something more like accept open source maintenance fee or some other word? And or should we, if we have accept EULA, should we change it to accept WiX EULA to make it very specific just to WiX, as opposed to any other um, accepting of EULA type switches? So I'm throwing all of those different, basically all the different permutations to basically get people to go, you know what? I like accept EULA. I like the accept EULA, and the whole semicolon delimited thing will work fine. I think that's where I'm at, but I wanted to throw out all of the various questions that I could come up with in my brain as I went through the naming of the visible parts of the accept EULA feature to everybody, so that other people could be like, yeah, how about this name? And be like, oh, that name's much better than what I thought of. So that's one. By the way, I'm adding all this to give chat a chance to kind of catch up on, because they're always a few minutes behind. So Bob, I know you have opinions. I'll get there. And then the last thing is I captured should the accept EULA, if you run it once from the command line, write a Sentinel file so that so that Wix remembers after you accepted once that, yes, I've accepted this EULA, therefore it doesn't have to prompt again for that version that you've accepted, and all that good stuff. For the MS Build side, I don't think it matters, because you're going to write the MS Build property and you'll just do the right thing. You'll just set it and go. But on the command line, if you run lots of Wix commands, like, extract, burn extract, or yeah, I don't know, then maybe having to type accept EULA might get a little old. That's the scenario for that one. Because if you put in a build script, Wix build accept EULA, then it's not terribly interesting. So that's the frame. I'm mostly interested in the the naming of the attribute, and I have to admit, as I think about more, I probably will end up doing the Sentinel file because I expect it's probably going to be a not great experience if we don't have it. That people will be like, this is really annoying. This is really annoying. This is really annoying. Just, I accepted it. Remember that. Of course, CI/CD systems you have to build in because your machines get, erased every time. But um, it will probably do that for general usage locally. What do people think of the name? That's the big thing. All right.
Well, let me start at a different level,
Oh
which is
no.
one, this is all fine, except you're doing it entirely wrong. Other than that, it's great.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah. This shouldn't be an attribute. This should be an action. Um, it's not exactly comparable. Well, there are two aspects that are comparable. Um, one is the .NET SDK uh, prompt about telemetry.
Yep.
It's not comparable because there's no, it's a notification only.
Right.
But it's a notification that pops up once, and that's it. Um, it's not perfect either. Sorry, where I'm going is I think this should be something you explicitly do one time, separate from a build command.
That's not going to work in CI.
Sure it will.
No, you have to run another.
Wix.exe,
You have,
Wix.exe, EULA accept,
yeah, but then you
or
have to
something.
create a separate step, and you can't just do build. Like, uh,
Okay,
I really
that
like. I don't run like a. Then you have to go into whatever your YAML file is, probably, and add a run this command thing. Oh, you have to go get .NET Exe, install it because you're using actually. Then you're going to use .NET Build, which will bring down the SDK. Like, it's just, it's both.
yeah, and
It's
everyone's already doing that. So adding
no,
one line,
no, no, no,
everyone is absolutely already doing that.
no. You just do
Look at
.NET
all the
Build,
look at
and you have
all
the
the
whole thing. You don't have to go get Wix.exe at all. You just do .NET Build, and everything
I
just
know,
works.
but how many people use Wix.exe even though they could use .NET Build?
There are a bunch of people that use Wix.exe, and then
Yes.
there's a bunch of people that use
Of
just the
course.
SDK. And I don't
I
think we should
understand that.
force everybody to use
I'm
Wix.exe.
not sorry. You're jumping ahead.
Okay,
Wix.exe EULA accept works for the Wix.exe case. Yes, MS Build you have to do something else, but I'm fine making that a target as well.
no. Then you have to do no, no. Then you have to do work. The goal here is that you don't have to do anything more than add a property or add a command line. So like not a whole new workflow. That was like I don't think we should add a whole new workflow to the system.
Okay. My response to that is I don't think we should require you to add a parameter every single time,
Yeah, I
right?
think that's fair. That's why the accepting the remembering the acceptance is probably important. So you don't have to add it every single time.
Okay. I think
And if we could add an extra command to enable or to accept the EULA, but I don't think we should. We could add that as a let me explicitly accept the EULA, but having to do Wix accept EULA and then Wix build is just annoying in your CI.
I would argue it's less annoying than a command line argument all the damn time. But I understand. It's fine. It's fine. I don't like the idea that it's something you have to specify every time. It's bad enough on for Wix.exe. It's horrible for MS Build projects. So I do want something. I want an easy way to say I accept the EULA and please don't bother me. The idea you could have a one-line Wix proj, but now it's going to be a five-line Wix proj.
I see. So you want the ability to save, you want the ability to have Wix accept EULA and have that also apply to MS Build.
Uh, yeah, that's not a strict requirement, but it would be great. That would be fine. That would be a good implementation. If you don't like the idea of a target, if you want, if you're okay keeping them together, then that would be perfect.
If it's a target, then I'm missing the if it's a target, then you have to update your project file to somehow use the target.
No, no, because it's a sorry. First of all, forget CI/CD. That's a sticking
Okay.
point, so ignore it.
Well,
I'm
it's all
talking
right.
about I'm talking about interactive use, right?
Okay.
I do not want dash accept EULA on all of my Wix.exe command lines.
Okay.
They're complicated enough.
Okay.
I don't want a property, especially in the Wix proj, though as a command line argument, it also sucks. Definitely don't want it in the Wix proj. So a gesture that would say, "Yup, I got it. I have to accept this EULA." However you do it, one time would be great.
Okay. I see. So the ability to accept the YOLO one time and have that stick is what you're looking at. Zach has pointed
Yes,
out we could like document where the Sentinel file goes, and I don't really want to do that at all. I would say, hey, just copy this file, and that's how you accepted the EULA. That goes the
that's less
wrong way.
explicit,
Yeah, that goes around the whole system. So that's not the goal.
which is kind of why I like the idea of an explicit command. Yes, you could add, arguments, command line arguments, but you can hide those pretty easily,
So
right?
so let's say we add an explicit command, or I'll add an explicit command, and I'll get the name.
Implementation TBD. Yep.
Yes, right. So, and it will obviously remember because otherwise it's dumb.
Yes. I accept the EULA for the next 80 milliseconds.
Exactly. So then, um, should if you and I still think we should keep the command line switch so you can have a single line build command and not have to run two commands to do it
Sure,
for that
sure, fine.
CI/CD system. Should the accept EULA on the build command also remember, or should you only remember if you do the EULA accept? It's a
Oh.
very fine line. I don't think it matters tons. I just want to know which way people think that should go.
That's
AKA, if you
interesting.
run the explicit "I accept this," it remembers it. If you
Yep.
run the "I've put this in my project," so it just runs a CI/CD. I don't
Hmm.
set it for my whole machine, but it does work inside this project.
Well, now
So
I'm curious about so a command line argument feels very CI/CD specific,
yeah.
so it kind of doesn't matter whether it remembers. It would remember only for the lifetime of that,
Yeah, the
particular
reason I bring
EIULA.
it up and the reason I'm thinking we should have it only the invocation remember in this
Hmm.
way is that you might, if you pick up a CI/CD build, then you as a user, right? Your build has been accepted by a user. If you start using Wix by yourself locally, then you could get prompted. Like, should your build system have auto accepted you in or not? It's such an edge case. I don't know if it really matters deeply. I just want to kind of get a feel if anybody cares, like one way or the other.
Right. So now I'm curious about whether, say, the build of the GitHub Actions runners would pre-accept the EULA and make all of this discussion completely pointless.
The build of the runners.
The actual build VM.
Yeah.
I mean, the building image could pre-accept the EULA. I have no idea if they have any,
Well, only if we let it. Like, I guess yeah, they could run the command Wix accept EULA
and then
for everybody,
freeze the VM. Yeah,
and then freeze it. Yes, yeah, I guess you could do that. I've
curious.
accepted EULA for everybody. They shouldn't do that because
They shouldn't.
that would
That
be
would,
really strange if they did.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm just,
And I'm not
except,
trying to make this hard. I'm trying to honestly make the thing as
yeah,
simple as possible. It's just kind of the whole, I was surprised by this. I'm trying to remove the surprise, make it
right.
very clear without putting a whole lot of extra work in the space. So,
Well,
uh,
I'm so I bring that up because they are accepting EULAs when they install all the software on those build images.
yes,
They are accepting EULAs, so
but they're
um,
accepting like yeah, they've got to like, but like community build or Visual Studio Community or whatever they install there.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I
But
mean, there's a bunch of software that they install,
yeah,
and
but
all of it, even the open source stuff, has licenses, not strict EULAs, but
yeah,
you know,
I'm going to make a assumption, which could very possibly be completely untrue, that they've gone through them and gone, yeah, these are all okay for us to auto accept and roll out to
right,
everybody. I if not, I hope they did. I've not looked at all the software these. I don't use much software on GitHub
yeah,
Actions generally.
right,
The Node license is fine, and the Visual Studio Community one, if they've got that all sorted out, is fine. And I don't use much other software than that, so I don't know like what Python or
right.
any of the other ones are like. Yeah. So, all right. So I guess I'm inclined to say if you do the explicit accept EULA or what did you the command? What did you EULA accept? Was that the
EULA accept. I don't
yeah
know.
okay, yeah
It's
it's
a
yeah
it's a WiX command, and
right.
then
It's
it
a
needs
Wix
a
command,
subcommand, right?
right, with a subcommand. So I guess EULA accept, and then the target, the MS build target that does basically the same thing, and you can run it through MS build or can you do targets on .NET? I guess I haven't tried. Um,
Yeah,
um, then dash T MS build dash T,
yeah.
accept EULA, then that will work too. Um, okay, so I'll add that. I get that. The property that says any thoughts on the names of the properties? All chat's like gone to sleep or something like that. I'm not even getting a. It's fine. It's nothing. It's like whatever. Or people are like, I don't care. This thing's annoying, and I'm like, yeah, a little bit, but I'm trying to head off. I really wish the .NET team would have just done the normal thing, which is, oh, this installation package, new good thing, has a license. We should show it and have the user accept it. No, they did not do
Nope.
that. um, accept Wix EULA.
Well, but I also, well, so okay, so I'm fine with except EULA and semicolon delimited is fine. Um,
The advantage of that, by the way, is that I can give it to other people and be like, look,
sure,
here's the little snippet that you add to your MS Build project and your NuGet project, and poof, you
right,
can just participate. You don't have to change it because the name is always the same, aka accept EULA.
right. Um, so with an explicit command, it's going to be run in the context of a specific version of WiX. Do we need to identify WiX 7, for example, given that it's already being run in the context of a particular version?
Well, I think the property needs to, because you could go from one to the next without running the explicit command. If you've run the explicit command, then you don't need this property, and yeah, it'd be for the version that you explicitly accepted.
Okay.
Sorry, that was. I feel like I said a whole bunch of little words there. They're all the same
And a
words,
couple
but
of
they
big
would.
ones.
I think if I put them together in the right order, it worked out. I feel like I almost
Yep.
got lost through there.
That's what I say about the dictionary. Put them
Yeah,
in the right order. It's all good. Um,
I get to use the same one
yeah,
multiple times though, right?
I'm okay with being generic. I actually I prefer EULA to OSMF
Okay. Well, yeah.
just because
Well,
I think that's going to trigger.
we already have the EULA versioning, and each next EULA will need to be accepted. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Okay. That's fine, Zach. If you're like, inclined, like, basically, if you said like these, there's no big winner out of any of these. That's fine. If you're like, this name is terrible, I'd take that as well. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
I don't think most people know just how much time Rob and I spend talking about names.
well, yeah, of course. I mean, naming is. I hope they do because
Naming
naming
is
is like
hard.
one of the top three problems of software engineering. Versioning being another one.
I was going to say it's the top two problems being versioning, naming, and off by one errors. But
Um, I was gonna throw caching in there too. Naming is so hard. Yes. All right. So I think I'm inclined to keep accept EULA because people know what that is. Yeah, cache validation. It's the third. Is the fourth one? Because off by one is
third
the
one.
third one. No, off by one is the third one. No. Except EULA, right? And then this. So the big change here is to add the ability to do an explicit accept action that then means you don't have to do it again for that major version of Wix. Or
Yep.
like, yeah, and I'm saying major version because we'd only expect the EULA to change at another major version. So, and it's not bad if you change the version of Wix, it's already a fairly big deal. So it's like, yeah, okay, new version of Wix, right? Accept the EULA for Wix. Is it the same? It's good. Yes. All right, everybody sign off. Good. Go forward with it.
Yep.
Where hopefully our dot releases, which are 0 dot, major, minor, dot, patch, build, whatever that number is, patch. Uh, the third dot, when
Semver.
we say dot release, is patch, right? Is we try to really keep that to very simple changes. Um, okay, I think I have the feedback here, and I will update this thing. Can you? It should definitely go with 7. I will be working on this soon, along with the other. I have a whole bunch of little changes all over the place, and I'm hoping the .NET 10 images come out from GitHub runners soon. I've been watching that. Thank you, Bob, for pointing me to the issue. They're
Yeah.
getting very close, so that will enable all of us to move the .NET 10 in the Wix build. I have the change done. It just fails on the GitHub machines because they don't have .NET 10 in the image. And yes, I know I could install .NET 10 in the image, but I'm just like, it's close enough. I'm not going to bother doing that extra step. They'll just slow down the build more. Installing, install .NET 10. It's already here. Oh, great. I mean, because it takes longer than it should to find out that it's already there to run an action. So all that's coming. Um, uh, One thing I wanted to throw out just to get an initial reaction because it feels like a really bad idea, but maybe it's not as bad. Um, I have been thinking if there is another dot release to 6 because of continued feedback of people finding out about this. Clearly, we're not going to add accept EULA to Wix 6 because that would break everybody in a dot release, which would not be good. Everybody would be very mad at us for good reason. Um, and I thought then, well, maybe we could sneak in a warning to turn this on, but then some people have warnings as errors,
Warnings as
and
errors.
sometimes warnings just in general create badness all over. So then I went, but what if we brought this to, if there was another dot patch to 6, I'm not sure there will be, but if there was, if we brought this feature back to 6, but as just information. So it would just be printing out. If you've not accepted the EULA, it prints out all the information, not a warning, not an error. It's just all the stuff gets spit at you. And suddenly you might notice, like, wait, what is all this saying? And it would, we tailor the message to say, hey, by the way, uh, this happened in my 6, and you might not be aware. Um, Here's the command line switches to turn this off, and these are the same command line switches that will set you up for success in Wix 7 too. So that's a good thing. I don't know if it's a terrible idea or not, because clearly the error is not, that's a non-starter. The warning is a bad idea because of it could get
Yeah.
fixed. But is an information good? Is it worth it? Or is it just, yeah, that we're Wix 6, we missed our window with Wix 6 by thinking that the .NET team would do the right thing with accepting or license, and they didn't. So we just kind of missed the window with Wix 6. Any initial thoughts on using an information message in Wix 6 if it was to come about? It's kind of like a early, it's not a deprecation message, but it's a, by the way, this is coming message. And you can handle it now by doing the same thing you would do for Wix 7. I don't know.
So you'd add the command line switch with a Wix fix ID, I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing,
Yep. Yep.
and the explicit acceptance
Yep. Just
command.
the whole change, right? Make it a nice clean
Okay.
change. Just pick it up, drop it in 6, and then change anything where it says error to information. So if there's no errors, it's just info. So you'd get this, lots of text would spit out. Many people would never notice because they don't look at the output.
Right.
And that's the consequence of not getting this in when 6 released originally. And then when they hit 7, they would be like, oh, wait, oh, is this what I saw in 6? I was ignoring that. Or I never saw this in 6. Why this only hit me in 7, which we're going to hit. And I wondered if we should put the message in here. Getting the message right for this is going to be another conversation later. But I've thought, should we also say in this, by the way, this EULA is also true for WiX 6. In case you are on WiX 6 now, you might just make sure, I don't know, retroactively letting them know, hey, this has been true since here. Sorry, that's the text. I was more interested in, is there any value in putting the EULA in it? Do you think about putting the date when the EULA is accepted? Yeah, I mean, we could toss the date in the Sentinel file. It's not a bad idea to toss the date because I mean, otherwise it's a 0 byte file, which is fine, but toss the date in it and there you go. Yay, cool. We now know the date they accepted it. But that's just on dev machines, so I'm expecting that most of the time it's going to be um, there aren't, compared to the number of CI machines that go through it, there aren't going to be that many acceptance that way.
Do we even have information on messages right now?
On which, sorry,
Informational level. I
information?
don't think we
Yes,
do. I think we
yeah,
have
we have information on
verbose.
messages. Oh, okay. Well, it's verbose will show up as the informational, so we can print messages to it
Okay.
if we wanted to.
I'm not, like hugely opposed.
Yeah. Okay.
It might be a little weird, but
So a whole lot of things that have to happen before. Well, not a whole lot. There's a few things that have to happen. Like we have to need another dot six, so or a dot version 4 WiX 6, which we might not. So um, anyway,
well, I, like you said, it's basically you're doing what would happen in WiX 7 anyway.
right.
So it's easy enough to port in if we need to.
Yeah. But I'm not. I don't think we should release a WiX 6 with just that in it.
No, 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 no.
Okay. So we're waiting for another bug fix to be needed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So not a terrible idea, but not a.
No, you've had much worse.
I have much worse sites.
Yeah.
And I will update this to include the concept of the date in the Sentinel file, because that's probably a good thing to mention in here when I add the whole acceptance path as well. Okie dokie. Cool. Thank you all for your input. The goal here is to make something that everybody goes, yeah, that's, that makes sense. That's logical, which has generally been the reaction by most people to the open source maintenance fee has been, yeah, makes sense. Definitely makes things work out a little bit better. So that's it. WiX 7 is not a triage anymore. So we are done here and we go back and see if there's anything else anybody wants to talk about. The next meeting is December, which is exciting. Um, and I think we'll see what triage brings us, and we will probably review the issues that are left WiX 7 and what we're thinking, because there's like 2 months, so there's 3 months space roughly ish 3 months. Is it 3 months? 2.5. Kind of thinking of what's left in Wix. So just something to think about if you were thinking about getting something in Wix 7. Yeah. Hurry up, or I hope it's small. And neither of those
Uh-oh.
apply to Bob. Bob's sitting here going, oh. Yeah, so that's what we'll be doing next week. I'm always filling time here for chat to catch up if they have questions, comments, but they've been lulled to sleep over there. I'm going to take a moment to notice that I am amused that, again, Zach has somehow taken the number one hat, even though he joined last. I It's interesting. I guess that's what you get. Yeah, and he just said like two things and immediately took over. Interesting. It must remember. I'm just thinking, YouTube must remember from one chat to the next
That
something
makes sense.
like that. There's something there. But hey, Eugene's taking number two, so that's cool. All right, I am amused by this feature. In case people didn't know, that's what we're talking about here, and I'm just using this to fill time. Bob, do you have anything else that I've forgotten? I think it's pretty straightforward right now.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's been enough. I think I got a thumbs up on the world. So need I comment? Hey. All right. That's what we have. We'll be back in a month, third week of December. Next week, the replay of the Deployment Dojo comes out, and the Deployment Dojo talking deep about MS Build stuff will be the week after that. Um, you're staring at comment voices and commenting on the nice choices.
That's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
that's 100% fair. That I agree with that. All right, everybody. Great to have you. Thank you, chat, for being here. Thank you for all your input. If other people have questions, comments, watch this video and have other thoughts on better names for Acceptula or something like that, get them into the comments on those issues soon. All that stuff is happening. And oh, should I? No, I can't do it quite now. Can I?
I have
No,
no idea
I'll
what
do it
you're
next
talking
month.
about, so no.
I have an idea thing I want to share with all of you, but I will share it with you next month because I was not prepared this month.
Where does it
And
fall on the Rob scale of bad idea, crazy, weird?
I showed you yesterday, and you thought it was pretty cool. So I'll talk
Okay.
about it next month. Um,
I don't remember what it was, so I'm looking forward to next month.
yeah. It's all right. All right, everybody. Good times. Great to have you here. It's always wonderful to have you guys in chat. Always wonderful to have all of you watch us here. We are building things and making it better, and it's it's good stuff. So until next month, you guys take it easy. Bye.
Bye.